have a few beers. We welcome each one of you. And if you would, please stand for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated, please. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Motion by Mr. Davison, second by Mr. Farrell. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Motion passed. Are there any additions to the agenda? If not, we got an extra field trip? Yeah, this is the packet. This was in the packet, the extra field trip in the folder, and if there's no objection to anyone, we just add it with the ones in the consent agenda. It's been signed off on, and everything is ready to go on it. So we'll just do that with the consent agenda. Next, we have Mr. Logan Wall here with us tonight from the Covington Gridiron Association. Mr. Logan, would you come forward and good to have you here tonight.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Just proceed on.
Okay. Good evening. First, I'd like to thank each of you for allowing me a brief moment of your time here tonight and allow me the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Covington Gridiron Association. I appreciate each and every one of you and the time spent away from your families to make the lives of the students who reside in Tipton County better. I'd also like to thank Dr. Combs for being transparent and accommodating in regards to the questions our organization has involving the athletic renovations at Covington High School. I know the majority of you, but for the ones I have not had a chance to meet, let me introduce myself. My name is Logan Wall. I graduated from Covington High School in 2009 under Miss Peggy Barber, or Murdoch. I've been a resident of Covington and Tipton County my entire life, and now raising 3 sons with my wife, Lauren, who is also a lifelong resident in the community. Walt Downing is also present with me tonight, representing the Covington Gridiron. He's also a lifelong resident of Covington with strong ties to the community and a 2012 graduate of Covington High School. Walt and I currently sit on the board of directors for the Covington Gridiron Association, and I will be taking over as president this summer. A little brief history. The Covington Gridiron Association is a nonprofit corporation that dates back to 1994. The purpose of the corporation, as stated in the Charter of Incorporation, is to support the Covington High School football program and to assist in instilling those ideals of dedication, honesty, integrity, hard work, and discipline in all the students affiliated with the program. The Gridiron wanted to come before you to first thank the school board for its support and approval of the facility upgrades and renovations that date back to 2016. The upgrades and renovations are much needed and appreciated. Walt and I have firsthand knowledge to the extent of the conditions from 10 plus years ago when we were in school at Covington. These renovations are well overdue and a flat-out necessity at this point. We are not here to complain. We've all heard enough of that, so please do not get the wrong impression of me and not hear me or what I have to say. The Gridiron wants to be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. As I mentioned, I have 3 sons that will be coming through Covington High School in the coming years. I can make you a promise that the Gridiron will continue to help support or do anything we can to help the county or the school board get these improvements done for the kids in the community and the school. It's no secret, though, that Covington is an impoverished area. Per report card provided by the state of Tennessee, 40% of Covington High School student body is classified as economically disadvantaged. This doubles both Covington and Brighton, which is 19% and 20%. With that being said, it pulls at my heartstrings to personally know the living conditions and daily battles that these kids in this community fight. 365 days a year, 366 this year. Having below standard facilities and amenities should not be an issue our kids in the community have to wrestle with when funding and approval is readily available. Our kids deserve a hot shower with a little bit of privacy. Our kids deserve more than one working toilet where you have to hold the rope connected to the plywood door as a lock. They deserve to have their own personal lockers with working locks and storage for their personal items as well as their athletic gear. As of last year, they resorted to man strip hooks and folding chairs. Until about a month or so ago, the players and staff were unaware the field house even had central heating and air conditioning because the thermostat was up in the ceiling. Please do not take this as combative or confrontational. I understand you are all tired of hearing about these issues as much as we are tired of discussing them. The Covington Gridiron Association asks that Covington High School and the kids in this community are given the same equity and opportunities that are presented at the other high schools in this county. We believe the approved three-phase plan provides that. However, the timeline of completion for this plan has been an issue. We understand there have been delays because of bidding and cost, but it's time for us to be on the level playing field. The Covington Gridiron Association wants to ensure the fire is not lost in this project. I cannot stress enough that we want to be part of the solution, not viewed as a problem or a hindrance. The facilities have been neglected for far too long. What can the Covington Gridiron Association do to help get the approved three-phase plan completed within a reasonable time frame? Do we need to assist in the physical labor like pouring concrete or driving hammer and nails? Do we need to talk to our county commissioners and urge for more funding in the budget? I mean, what can we do to help get this project completed? Thank you.
Thanks, Logan.
Thank you, Logan, and Dr. Combs is working on this, as everyone knows, and he inherited this, when he came in, and he's got some more ideas. We talked today, and he's got some more things in line that are trying to move this thing on fast track.
Yes, sir.
I mean, hey, we're just as ready as y'all are to move this thing forward.
I understand.
And I guarantee you, Dr. Combs and his staff are working on it.
I believe it will.
Yeah. But we do appreciate y'all being here tonight
Yes,
and showing your concerns, and y'all welcome back anytime.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Logan.
Next item is the consent agenda. Would anyone like to remove any item for discussion? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Clark, second by Mr. Joyner. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, no. Motion passed. Dr. Byrd, Director of Instruction Report.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes. Just a few things. First of all, I'd like to welcome, we have several students from Brighton High School here tonight. These are TAP students, Teaching as a Profession students. So we hope some of them will come back and teach in a few years in Tipton County Schools, but certainly welcome them tonight. Mark your calendars, February the 12th at 9 o'clock. Crestview Middle School, we will be having a reception for our district level teachers of the year. We'll send you a written invitation, but wanted to go ahead and give you that date tonight. So February 12th, 9 a.m., Crestview Middle School. That's our February principals meeting date. Back in December, Tipton County Schools was presented with the plaque that you see over on the table as you came in tonight, the Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Philanthropy at TCAT. And I know a couple of our board members were able to be there, and we appreciate that, but wanted to make sure that we mention that tonight as well. You'll notice on the screen that textbook adoption, as I've told you before, is coming up this year. We're getting ready at the end of January to have what we call a caravan, where publishers come in and share their textbooks and their products with our adoption committee. But parents and community members are able to review those items that are being considered for adoption at the Media and Tech Center in Brighton, as well as at each school during parent-teacher conferences this spring. And we put that information on the webpage so that folks are aware of that. Recently, and I did send you this out in an email last week, but just wanted to talk a little bit more about it tonight in case someone had questions. We did, as you all know from TSBA, we received the U-Trust grant funding this year, and we have 3 projects that we're going to use for that money. First, we're going to redo the billboard on Highway 51 with our Teachers of the Year for this year. So we're currently trying to get that picture scheduled and take care of all that, but sometimes the weather can delay that a little bit, but that is coming. Also, we are purchasing the program U-Science, and you may remember from TSBA that they talked about that. It's an aptitude assessment for middle and high school students to help them in preparing for their future careers. And in your packets, and this was put in late because I didn't receive it until this week, but there is an agreement with U-Science that will cover the cost of that for our middle schools, CIAA, and our 3 high schools. And I will need a motion, Mr. Marty, to approve that contract that was added into your packet.
Do we have a motion to approve the U-Science contract as presented? Motion by Mr. Joyner. Second by Mr. Shipley. Is there any questions or discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passed.
Thank you. And then the last part of the grant funding that we received, we're going to purchase 13 class sets of laptops and charging carts that we will be deploying this spring in 13 classrooms across the district. And of course, that's part of our strategic plan, is to add more technology and move toward that one-to-one initiative. And these devices are going to be assigned to teachers based on an application process, and those applications opened yesterday and will close next Friday. So we'll be reviewing those and deciding where those sets of laptops will be going. And then the last thing I have, sorry, I had a little bit more than I usually do tonight. We have had some personnel changes at the central office that I want to make sure that everyone's aware of. Marty Beckton did retire in December, and as part of this change, Kevin Cullum, who's back there behind the camera, he will now serve as Infrastructure Technology Coordinator, and Miss Melissa Chipman will be our Instructional Technology Coordinator. So that's the change in technology. And then the other change at the district level is Ann Burleson retired at Christmas, and her position will be posted later in the spring. That's all I have unless anybody has questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Dr. Burton. Dr. Fisher, Director of Operations. Report.
All right, good evening.
Good evening.
TCAT Covington and Tipton County Schools have entered into a cooperative work program. This is a new learning work experience provided for our students at TCAT Covington, and it's defined as a work-related training received at an approved business. So Tipton County Schools is that approved business or industry under terms of a signed contract. Dr. Combs has signed off on that contract, and so students that are enrolled in the co-op program will be defined by eligibility requirements. If they meet those requirements, the program provides a method of instruction whereby TCAT Covington and Tipton County Schools, we are partners in developing the workforce for the county. The first program we're going to begin looking at co-oping will be the maintenance department, so we're very excited about that. The students will be in school at TCAT Covington, and they will work here in the school system in the area of maintenance. So we are very excited about this opportunity for our students. With our adult basic education classes, we're now offering classes in Munford. So we are here Covington, also in our penal facility and in the Munford area. We're also getting ready to host our second round of interviews for adult education teachers. So if you know of retired teachers that might be interested, other individuals that might be in the community that are teachers, we are looking for them within our adult basic education program. My last thing is that we know we're on the brink of the flu season, and so as preventive measures, we're making a call out to parents that will probably take place on tomorrow where we will be making that call out to parents for some preventative measures that we're going to recommend to them. ABM, our cleaning contractor, has been asked to do additional cleaning in all of the schools on the evenings and in the weekends, making sure that we also have an adequate supply of paper towels and soap within all of the schools. All of our buses have also been provided sanitizing wipes to prevent the spread of germs there on all of the buses, so we've taken care of that. But we want our parents and guardians to assist us in protecting our children from any preventable illnesses during this season. So just as a preventative measure, we're doing
I
that.
got a quick question. Do we buy the Lysol for teachers, or do they have to buy their own?
Most of the teachers have it in their classrooms already where parents have donated. If they requested, we would look into that, and Ms. Sherry Yarbrough would be doing that.
Okay.
We started with the buses, and we are going to send information out to the teachers. She's going to send an email out to them for those that have them in the classrooms when we had a discussion about
But if
that.
they make a request, they can
We'll have
get
to look
it?
into it.
Okay.
Yes,
good.
sir.
Other question, the internship with TCAT, how, are they paid? Is it a paid internship?
Yes, it is.
Cool.
It
What
is
do
a paid
they make?
Beginning salaries, the beginning,
Sorry.
go ahead.
It depends on the job and the opening.
Yeah,
I just talked to Ms. Yolanda about it today, that's what was stuck in my head. Depends on the opening, and it depends
Right.
on what level of training the student has.
yeah.
To depend on what the payment is.
I think that's one of the best new things we got going.
Well, it's going to impact the workforce, and we're starting with maintenance, but, I mean, there are other positions that they will be able to assist us with, and it's about, putting individuals to work.
Yeah.
So the training, I mean, what better thing? Just train while I
agree.
work at the same time.
I
These
think it's
young
great.
people are ready.
Yeah, get as many as you can.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Yes, sir?
Dr. Fisher, overall, how's the adult education program?
It is going well. You have a lull at Christmas. When I say a lull, there's a decrease during the holiday season, but we are up to about 6 to 7 students every day in our Covington classes. Of course, our classes at the penal facility are doing quite well. We have students there as well. And we're trying to get those classes up and going. In Munford, we're also going to be looking at Drummonds, in the Drummonds area as well. So it is about a facility, but it's also about teachers. So we do have to have certified individuals in order to teach the classes. So that's what we're doing now. We're going to be marketing that in the area there.
Were we going to have classes at Munford Elementary at one time, or?
We are going to be,
discussed?
that's one of the things, Mr. Hayes is going to be talking to Ms. Richardson about that. Our classes right now are at Park and Recreation. We're hosting those in the daytime. We're going to get ready to start having our classes at night. And so they'll be at Munford Elementary.
Dr. Combs, I was thinking today, about, I didn't know, talking about TCAT, I didn't know if they could get involved at all as far as a facility upgrade or whatever at Covington High. They got people, electricians, plumbing, things of that nature, under the supervision of their certified instructors. I didn't know if they could get involved in that, or.
Absolutely. That's actually one of the options that we've been talking to them about, using some of their students to do some of that, and some of the labor and some of those other things. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher.
You're welcome.
Mr. Donald Wallace, construction update.
I really don't have a report, if anything, yeah.
Evening.
The only thing that I'd add, I would reinforce what Mr. Wall says, Covington High School, giving you a little history on that. That facility where the athletic facility is was built in 1970. If my math is right, that is 50 years old. We haven't done any major renovations at that site, since then. So, of course, we've done everything we can do for us, bidding out, going through the proper process. We bid this out in June of last year. It come in about 3 times higher than it should have. Bid it out again in December, and it's still twice as high as it should be. And Dr. Combs and I both talked about, looking at construction management. I think we've got a meeting next Wednesday, to go over some details on that.
Is that, can y'all give any details on that or not yet?
We're meeting with, I met with Mayor Huffman today, and we're going to try to utilize some county resources, like Shannon Reed, who can maybe be a construction management person who can help us, and so we can subcontract out the things and then do the things that we can do, like, frame and things like that, and really cut that price way down. But we're meeting with, next week, it's Mr. Donnie and myself and Mayor Huffman and Shannon, and we're going to talk about what we can do.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So that's all the details I have, because that's all I know at this point, but
Well,
we'll meet then,
that's
but
what I was
everybody's
wondering.
on board with it, so.
I just wanted to make sure we were going down that avenue before we hired a construction manager.
Absolutely. We also gave the plans, we took the plans to Colston. They didn't bid. So we took them the plans and got their input on it, and they didn't want to bid. And then
They didn't?
No. And then we have it, actually, the plans right now are with Rose Construction, because we took the plans to Rose Construction to see if they would give us a bid, and we're waiting to hear back from them. So, we're looking like probably that construction management option is going to be our best.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yep.
I've talked to some contractors too as well, subcontractors. And basically they're saying, it's not the material cost, it's the labor cost that's gone up the last 2 years. It's been more than any time that they've seen.
It's crazy.
On this day, everybody we told $325 a square foot. That's just beyond stupid. I mean, it's just unreal. I
And
mean,
the concrete floor is going to be left concrete, right?
Yeah,
And they're going to be
yeah.
great.
Concrete floor, stick frame.
Yeah.
Pretty near.
Put against plywood on the inside of it.
That's right. But it's just like Mr. Donnie said, I mean, business is booming, and, they just don't want to bid on it, because they're thinking, if you want us to pull off what we're doing right now, then we're going to charge you 3 times as much to do it. So
So I guess
we're figuring out a way to get around that.
To bring Logan's question back up, is there anything that local community members can do to help the process?
Yes. We talked about that today. Where's Logan? We talked about that today on the phone. And the biggest one is, they're obviously well-respected in the community. I mean, everybody knows the Gridiron. They're very well-respected, just like football is. So I said, let's push some of these local folks to kind of help us in this endeavor. Like, put some pressure on some local builders and some folks to put some bids on that are appropriate, because it's helping the community. So really the lowest bid we had was, every bid we had was out of county.
It is.
We didn't have a single bid from inside Tiffany County. And so, yes, anything influence you can do in the county would be great. And then, as we get the ball rolling and have some more things, then there may be some more. Everybody can grab a shovel, because that may be next. Yep,
I think at this point, we're just ready to get something.
absolutely.
Make a start.
Absolutely.
We can take set up the roads, so maybe he can help us out some too.
Well, They have the plans right now, so hopefully we'll see.
Any other questions for Mr. Wallace? Mr. Wallace, we appreciate
Thank
you
you.
for giving us that update.
Aye.
Financial report, Ms. Peggy Murdock.
All right, let's do our regular financial report first, if you would. And I think I said this last year at the same time. We thank all of you who paid your property taxes already. We received $5 million, some $100,000 worth of property taxes already, so that's great. Our anticipated goal for that is 11 million, so we appreciate all the property tax payers in the county.
I paid mine Wednesday, so that'd be another million.
That'll be it. There you go. There you go. All right, so the Fund 141, we receipted $12,133,563. That's 14.4% of our budget. It is usually one of the 2 largest receipts that we have. So our total thus far is $41,478,382. That's almost half of our budget has been receipted. And of course, we're 6 months in of the 12 months, so that's pretty good. The expenditures, we spent $6,981,114, which is 8.2% of our budget. So we have spent 41.5% of our budget. And let me just remind you that we are stockpiling some days, because when we pay our salaries in June. We're paying 4 payrolls that we've got them tucked away, but we'll pay them out. So that's why you see that it's, the discrepancy between the revenues and expenditures. The 142 budget, any questions on 141? I'm sorry. No. 142, the revenue for December was $555,135, 8% of their budget, for a total thus far of $2,315,381, 33% of their revenue. And then their expenditures for the month of December were $535,130, 7.7% of their expenditures, for a total on their expenditure line of 34.33%. So they're running a little under on their revenues, but they'll catch up. Questions on 142? 143, the central cafeteria. In December, they received $489,594, 8.5% of their budget, for a total thus far of $2,117,414, 36.8% of their budget. And on the expenditure side, they spent $421,961, which is 7.1% of their expenditures, for a total of $2,347,282, 39.5% of their expenditures. Questions on the cafeteria? All right, and the capital projects, of course, we received no money, but we spent $122,913, 6.7% of our budget in the month of December, for a total so far of $1,103,825. Any questions on the capital projects? Okay,
You want to go ahead and approve this?
that'd be great.
I do have a motion to approve the financial report as presented, motion by Mr. Vincent, second by Ms. Rozelle. Are there any questions for Mr. Murdock? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, no. Motion passed.
All right, if you'll look at this section next that kind of describes what the amendments are, we had some movement, as Dr. Byrd explained, in our personnel, and so we had to shift a little bit of money around, as well as clean up a couple of things while we were at the amendment spot. So what we did is we have found that there are many more than we had anticipated, new people who are hybrid teachers, meaning they have a different pot of money that has to be spent for their retirement. So we had to move $11,000 out of salaries and into that hybrid retirement plan. So that was the first thing we did in regular instruction. And then in special education, we had to do a lot of movement. We increased our SPED teacher salaries by $42,000. We increased our SPED assistants and attendants by $25,000 due to changes in personnel and the need for additional attendant that we had not planned on having before. And then we had to increase medical insurance. When we made our budget for this year, we just carried over the medical insurance from last year to this year because there were no increases in the medical insurance. But SPED moved a lot of teachers around, and consequently, different people had different plans, and so we have to make up for that shortfall in that medical line. You don't have what now? Am I going?
I probably have it, I
That's
just
okay.
can't find it.
Here you go.
Okay.
There you go. And we're probably right there.
Great.
All right, so in order to make up for that money, we decreased the SPED supervisor salary line by $43,000 because she's not here anymore. So we're not going to fill that position until next year. So we used that money to help out with those teacher salary shortages. And then we also decreased the medical personnel. If you remember last year, we had to change the name and the number of the people who were doing medical attention for students in the classroom, OT, PT things that are going on in the classroom, and they renamed them. Well, last year we had 8, this year we have 1. So we moved that money to take care of those needs in the other area of special ed. And we had to increase the psychologist's salary by $1,000. So that we moved
some of the support sped to the instructional sped. And then in technology, Mr. Beckton is gone, so we moved his salary down to another line item to try to increase that for Ms. Chipman's salary for the rest of the year. And then because Ms. Chipman is a teacher, she has to have a different amount for retirement, so we had to add that. And then we had to add her hospitalization in. So when one person moves, it makes a whole lot of difference. So they needed a little money in their contracted services, so the leftover that we had, we placed in there. And then in maintenance, we were short $300 in a secretary's salary line, so we had to move that in there. And if you'll look now at the budget amendment, I'll just show you very quickly where those dollars are. And you stop me if I don't explain it well. So if you'll move to page 2, at the very bottom in the yellow, we took out that $11,000 and we placed it on page 3 in the retirement. It's called Retirement Hybrid Stabilization, and that's on page 3. Okay, and then down at the bottom where it says 71,200 special education, there's the $42,000 we said we needed for the teachers. Also the $25,000 that we need for the educational assistants, and the $10,000 we needed for the medical insurance. So it was a total of $77,000 that we moved into the instructional piece. We turn over to page 6, and that's where we found the money to give to the instructional piece. So we took $43,000 from the director's line, $1,000 added into the psychology personnel, and $35,000 from the medical people, which balances out their $77,000. Then at the bottom of page 6, you see the changes that we did in technology. We took the $44,100 and dispersed it among those lines that I gave you before, for the data processing personnel, the additional retirement, additional medical insurance, and then other contracted services. And so if you'll turn over to page 8, there's the $300 we were short in a secretary line. So we just moved it out of one in their same category and into another. And then I believe you will see the total on the last page, that we are still off by $620,000, which is what we used for our bonus. So everything we took out and put in. Any questions on 141? Make sense? Okay. So if you'll go back to this sheet, there's a very simple little thing that 142, the federal folks had to do. And they moved $19,510.29 into other supplies and materials, and they took it out of the special ed equipment. And the difference there, they had to use to increase their indirect cost, which is the money that they pay back to 141. So if you'll look at your budget for 142, it is a little, I'm not sure shrunk is the right word, but I tried to shrink it enough so that you could see it on one page instead of having to go into double lines. The only place where you need to look, this is a compilation of what we did last month because we haven't taken it to the county commission yet. It's going to go with this. The only ones that we did were that additional $19,510.29 at the bottom of the front page of, are you on this one? I don't see it. I don't see it.
There we go.
And if I could, right
There we go.
that one right there.
Thank you.
No, yeah, okay. So, and then we took away the $20,000 And the reason it doesn't match is because we have to, once we change from equipment to supplies, you have to make it up in your indirect costs. So you'll find that indirect cost on the very last page, which changed our indirect cost by $167.51, which means federal will pay general at this point. Now, every amendment they make, it changes. $154,283 in indirect costs. So, any questions? $154,283.08. Do you see that?
It's right by
On the
that
last
167.
page.
167. Okay.
Right there.
So they're paying that to our general fund?
They will until they make another amendment.
Okay.
Every time they make an amendment, it changes how they disperse those indirect costs. People cost a certain percentage, and things cost a different percentage depending on what the thing is.
Okay.
And if I were smart enough, I could tell you what it was, but I'm not. I don't have all those in front of me. But anyway, it is a balanced budget as it has to be in federal. So any questions on the federal amendment? And we'll take these to the county commission in February.
Do we have a motion to approve the amended budget as presented? Motion by Mr. Farrell, second by Mr. Carr. All those in favor, let me know by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed, no. Motion passed.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Ms.
I
Bailey.
appreciate it.
Dr. Carr, do you want to add anything else?
No, sorry. Appreciate Logan, Red Iron, Coaching Football for being here. I will tell you this too, when I met with Logan earlier, one of the things we talked about was that he and probably Walt, I think you mentioned Walt there too, we're going to meet at least once a month. They're going to come sit down, we're going to sit down together, listen to work on, so we're all on the same page all the time. So they have something to report to their group, and we all are on the same page, absolutely.
I see Coach Kirby back there too.
Yes,
He's all
sir.
white. All right.
And they're in the off-season, so
Those two guys kind of look like they could do some brickwork, I think.
yeah, they hey, at this point, they'd be glad to do it, I bet you would.
Got a lot of work in there already.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We have anything happening in Drummond today? You know what?
Not that I'm aware of.
I went to eat lunch.
Did we?
I don't know. I went over to eat lunch and it was, I don't know how many sheriff patrols were over there today. All the front parking lot was full and the building was full.
I don't know, unless they were doing some kind of a training.
They
Now-
agreed to appreciation night.
Oh, okay, two things. Today's Officer Appreciation Day, so that's, thank you. That's very possible they were over there for that. And tonight they're doing meet and greet for their president. Yes, sir. I bet it was Officer Appreciation, because we didn't.
Many of them over there.
Ms. Melinda included in our packet the financial disclosure for the Tennessee Ethics Commission. Has to be, you can do it online, or you can either use this and mail it in. It's got to be turned in, mailed by the 31st of January. And I found out the hard way a few years ago. If you don't, they will call you if you don't mail it in. So. Yeah, they could, yeah. But anyways, so thank you, Ms. Melinda, for reminding everybody about that.
Mr. Chairman, did Ms. Belinda want to know who was going to, this week, who was going to the
Yes, legislative day on the hill, they changed it from day on the hill. That's going to be a different area. And she would like to know by tonight, right, Ms. Melinda? If you know, yeah. As soon as possible. If we don't have anything else, then we'll have a motion to adjourn. Mr. President, they can hear you saying about it. We have a motion, wait a minute, do we have a second on the adjournment? A second by Mr. Benson. We stand adjourned.